Switchblade suicide in the midnight. Think twice about the motherfucking quick knock. Switchblade suicide with the wrist slice. Closed eyes won't rise when the sun's bright. Switchblade serenading in the moonlight. Holler to the fucking sky cause the moon bright. You know they say when the stars in my eyes where they go running high. That we don't wanna lie when the union arrives. And street lights shining, you know my time's arriving. Out when it's dark cause we midnight vibing. Midnight driving, cruising by flying. Living so fast, never think about dying. Pose up in the dark and we hang out with the Batman. Scars on my knuckles cause we fucking with the wolf gang. Switchblade shining, night bright whining. Stars in my eyes when the moonlight shines in. Murder rap on my first track. Killing shit cause I've been begging. Suicide on the second, I don't care. Just accept it, knife swipe and get doomed. Switchblade coming soon. Chills on your spine when we holler to the fucking moon. Still shine bright, frostbite, make it eyes one, shut down, slice with the right swirl. Blood on my fist, knife test, my wrist, moonshine off the blade, just cruising through the mist, middle of the midnight. Think twice about the motherfucking quick knock. Switchblade suicide with the wrist slice. Closed eyes won't rise when the sun's bright. Switchblade serenading in the moonlight. Holler to the fucking sky cause the moon bright. You know they say when the stars in my eyes where they go running high. That we don't wanna lie when the union arrives. And it'll be the midnight. Think twice about the motherfucking quick knock. Switchblade suicide with the wrist slice. Closed eyes won't rise when the sun's bright. Switchblade serenading in the moonlight. Holler to the fucking sky cause the moon bright.
Disinformation is carrying people to believe things that are untrue. And vaccinations is a perfect example of it. Any vaccine we distribute to Canadians will be safe for Canadians. You know, are people who've probably gotten very sick from vaccinations. Every vaccine that is approved is safe for Canadians, is uncompromising. Well, individuals are allowed to make their own choices. There may be all sorts of different reasons why someone is hesitant to get vaccinated. There's no more excuses to not get your shot. And therefore, while not forcing anyone to get vaccinated, enforcement measures in place will make sure that everyone is vaccinated. I chose to make sure that all the incentives, travelers across the country need to be fully vaccinated. People coming into the country need to be fully vaccinated. We're there, don't get to work in the public service, don't get to go to movie theaters or gyms or restaurants, to encourage Canadians to get vaccinated. And that's exactly what they did. We got vaccinated to a higher level than just about any other of our peer countries.
Unknown causes was the leading cause of death in Alberta last year.
Misinformation and
Right.
disinformation.
You can go ahead and cut that off.
So what do you think about that?
That was welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, for another episode of the Crowded Room podcast. I'm Alex and he's Jer. We appreciate your patronage.
Almost forgot to do the intro there.
Yeah,
Just got right into
what
it.
do I think about that? That is, it's so telling that that guy just has nothing like true to say to anybody. He speaks out of his mouth one side and goes to the press with the other.
Yeah, he didn't say that stuff that long ago. It's crazy how it slipped his mind. Like, oh, I never
No,
enforced
but
that. It's like then it shows him just like he's like angry about it. He was
Right.
like enforcing it. We were the bad guys.
Yeah, and Fauci does the same thing. So welcome back, everybody. We got a great show for you. This is we're covering what Trudeau had to say today. We're in the middle of a giant strike, and he decides he needs to go to New York and spend literally probably about $5,000 per meal, let alone his hotel and his plane, his private jet.
Typically, when he leaves the country, it costs us about $200,000. We got to feed his whole
Right.
family. They have to drink the most expensive wines when they
Yeah.
go out, and
Yeah, and pay for everybody that's around him and whatnot. But
absolutely, yeah.
all of a sudden, everybody strikes for what they're asking for 10% raise or something, and he just sorry, I don't got the money.
Sorry, guys, I got to go on a $200,000
Yeah.
vacation. Imagine leaving for 5 days and like spending that much money.
Yeah, so we got that coming up. We've got quite a bit. There's Jerry Springer in the news. Bill C-11.
Rest in peace.
Tucker and Don lost their jobs. Matt Walsh is well on his way to doing the same. DeSantis and Disney are having a hard time.
Yep.
Right. We've got quite a bit. Elon Musk decides to put his foot down on Twitter the other day, and that's coming up later. But for now, we'll get back into Trudeau here. It's pretty telling that this guy doesn't have our best interest in heart. It
really doesn't seem that way.
It doesn't seem that way.
Especially with this new internet censorship law that just got passed, or just became law today.
Yeah, so you can thank him for that one too.
So if you're wondering why certain things don't pop up for you anymore, or why you're getting blasted with Canadian content, hey, maybe it's our podcast. Maybe it'll help us out a little bit. But I don't even care about that. No. I would rather get no views than and still have a free internet than get censored or get our internet censored like that.
The idea is it puts us in a box, so you're a normal-sized fish in a normal-sized pool versus a small fish in the world-sized pool.
And people don't realize this affects Netflix, Spotify, Crave, any of your streaming services, YouTube, anything you visit on the internet.
Anything at all that they don't deem Canadian enough. So you better buy a couple jugs of maple syrup and a hockey stick.
Yeah,
and we should just put it right here on the table, right?
And so all those companies are now forced to invest into millions of dollars into Canadian content.
Stuff. And not only that, you have to be inclusive of French. You have to be inclusive of disabilities, gender affirming, and all that stuff, or else you're just not adequate for our internet.
Absolutely.
So it's a slippery slope. It's very scary the way that they're coming after us and specifically us.
Yeah, exactly. Right. And what it affects the most is like people that are just trying to like make fun of this whole situation. You know what I mean? Like you won't even be able to talk against like the government soon. You know what I mean? Like you and I like you'd think because we're a Canadian podcast, maybe we'd benefit from this. But then once they see what our content is about, like we're not going to get a boost.
We would benefit from it.
Yeah.
But I don't think that anyone's going to kind of fall into hey, if it sticks around for 20, 30 years, then kids growing up with it aren't going to know any different.
Yeah, it'll be like China.
Exactly. So if you want to find an example for this kind of stuff, you have to look to a communist country.
Yeah. Oh, exactly.
There's no such thing as any of these restrictions in a free market.
Not at all. And that's the way we're going. And I've said it once. We've talked about it lots, but obviously our leader here, Trudeau, he admires the Chinese dictatorship, and he said it out loud. So it only makes sense that he would push our country to be more and more like them.
Every day he's trying to buy back guns. He's trying to literally stop us from doing our show. Now, I don't know if anyone's going to knock on our door or even send us an email, because I don't think we reached that far.
Yeah, and I'm not sure if the internet censorship bill goes that far yet, but it's only a matter of time before it does. Yeah, like
it could be tomorrow. Our whole page could be censored.
Well, would you say, considering like the way the lockdowns went in Australia, would you say they're similar to Canada? Like Australia is similar to Canada as far as all that stuff goes?
Australia is unique to Canada in the fact that they're an island. Yeah, so they can restrict people coming and going. And the fact that we share a border with America, a lot of our economy relies on like truckers coming and going across the border.
For sure.
Australia doesn't have to worry about that. So they can sort of isolate, lock it down 100%. It's impossible for us to lock down 100%.
I should rephrase my question. Do you think like their government is similar to our government as far as like authoritarian?
Yeah, they're both just offshoots of the British government that tried to take over the world 100 years ago.
Okay, so there's a woman named Maria Z. in Australia, and she is a news reporter. She's an independent journalist, and she went on a news show and talked about just, I won't say conspiracy stuff, but just like exposed a bunch of stuff about the Australian government. Okay. And they took away her bank account.
Wow. Okay.
That just happened.
Yeah. We all like to believe that that's like behind us.
Yeah.
And that, that's silly. Kind of like the World War II, like, that couldn't happen again.
Yeah.
Right. But who knows?
You never know. Right. And
with this bill scary. C-11, we could literally get a fine for talking out of line. Like,
that's just it. And
it's scary. Yeah.
Go back a few months when Kanye West lost his bank account. I don't think people take it the same way, because he always said bad things, and some people just think that justifies ruining your life. But he's also a celebrity, so I don't think people took it as serious. Oh, he'll find a way. He's fine. But like I don't know whatever happened with that. But with this Maria Z chick, she's just a normal chick, just doing independent journalism, and now she doesn't have a bank account. How do you survive?
Her name is literally Z-E?
Yeah, is Z
with 3 E's?
Z-E-E-E. That's her last name, yeah.
Right on.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I believe Australia is one step farther than us even, just because they can argue the fact that we can lock down 100%. We can keep stuff from coming and going. It's going to shoot yourself in the foot because eventually you starve. It's kind of like sieging a castle.
Yeah.
You can lock down, but you're going to starve in there eventually.
Was it New Zealand that was even worse? They had like this. Oh, no, New Zealand, they locked down quick enough. They didn't really get COVID. But Australia, they locked down. They're like, we don't want any more COVID. We're locking down until it's all done. And it got pretty crazy. But also this kind of relates to Matt Walsh getting demonetized as well.
Sure. So Matt Walsh got in trouble, we'll say, for that whole Dylan Mulvaney thing.
You're not allowed to have an opinion on that?
You're not. Well, he's very staunch religious, so he had quite a loud opinion on it, and people didn't like it at all. So he basically admonished the whole thing, said that this is an abomination, and that word alone, like, it means something to a religious guy. To everyone else, it just sounds like you don't try or believe in my ability or right to live is basically what they try to say. And
you know what's insane is when you say everyone else, it's crazy the small amount of people you need to get someone or something canceled. Like, you only need like a few thousand people to say something, or a few hundred people. Yeah. Like, there's instances of Count Dankula. I don't know if you know who that guy is. He had a lot of controversy behind him. Nothing crazy, but he went to get a job on this game show as the host. And after the first episode aired, 40 people, I think, it was like under 40 people complained, and so he lost his job. That's all it took.
Okay.
All because he taught his pug to Zeke Heil as a prank on it was his girlfriend's pug.
Yeah. The bigger point is everybody's kind of pretending that they don't say stuff that they wouldn't like to get out in private, right? Like, if you follow someone long enough, they're going to say something in jest or in privacy that they don't like to get out.
Yeah.
And to pretend that you don't is really hypocritical. I don't know. I don't really like it.
And that's kind of why I said earlier why comedians and comedy will be affected by this stuff the most, because comedians are the ones that push the boundaries. They're like, the only time anything sexist, racist, or like transphobic gets said that's, like something worth listening to is a joke. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, and it you got to have thick skin, and like everyone can be made fun of. And
I think the difference is humility. Comedians have humility.
Yeah.
And these politicians don't. Like Fauci on the news, he could easily say, yeah, sorry, I fucked up. Masks did nothing. But no, he doubles down. He lacks all humility, and he blames everyone else.
Yeah.
Even though he admits the mask's only 10% effective, he'll sit there and say that, well, for those who are wearing it religiously and wearing it properly, like who? A medical provider, like a doctor or a nurse or someone, those are the only people that are actually trained on how to use masks properly.
Yeah.
Or given like the proper
masks. Yeah. And restoration companies.
And restoration companies. Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
No, I can imagine.
I learned how to use a mask when I went there.
I did some sanding the other day, and I was wearing my mask, and it was white paint, but I didn't realize it. But after like a couple hours of sanding, I didn't know, but my face was caked, and I was talking to people, shaking hands. Oh, thanks. Hour later, I get home, and my girlfriend's like, why do you have like a mask on your face?
Yeah.
I literally looked like a reverse raccoon. Like my eyes were all white.
That's awesome.
And my mouth was fine. Yeah, that was embarrassing for sure.
Oh, so what you're saying is you're wearing a mask? Jeez.
Yeah.
Sheep.
Why? What did you do this week?
What did I do this week? Good question.
Yeah.
I worked. I've been working out in Upper Mud River doing this walk-in
you're going
shower.
Out of town for work.
Yeah. I did jiu-jitsu with you on Tuesday.
Yeah, that was
a fun time.
Yeah.
And I'm down just over 15 pounds now in just over 3 weeks.
3 weeks? That's a lot of weight.
3.5 weeks, just over 15 pounds. It's flying off.
Wow.
Yeah, man.
Did you just not eat? in 3 weeks?
No, dude, I've been eating steaks. I eat like a full zucchini like every night. I eat like a steak every second night.
Just wait till he starts drinking again.
Yeah.
See,
Yeah, wait till you start
He knows.
drinking.
See, whoa, what happened 3.5 weeks ago?
That's just
I
it.
said I was quitting drinking. I've drank 2 or 3 times since then, but
And you're doing a better diet, so you have less salt and whatnot, so you're probably not retaining water.
well, it's not that there's less salt. I just drink more water. So if you drink more water, you don't hold on to it.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So actually, our old coach Brandon there put himself in the hospital last summer because he cut salt out and he started drinking a lot of water. And then he stopped drinking water. And then so like his body didn't hold on to any water and he got so dehydrated, he went to the hospital. You need salt. But
What's that, Andrew?
Sodium is key.
Sodium.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Sodium's good for you.
they used to pay you in salt in Roman times.
Yeah, you couldn't survive in the desert without salt. It was worth more than gold.
Yeah. That's why they say worth your salt. In the old Roman times, I guess that was currency.
Speaking of salt, I just bought a new brand of salt that's like hand harvested sea salt from like Vancouver Island because I've been learning that salt is actually like, it's not salt itself that's bad for you. It's like where it comes from and what else is in it. And like some of the pink salts are bad. Like a lot of the salts that we think are like good, this Himalayan sea salt actually aren't. So like they're full of all sorts of crap, like lead especially, I guess. Like some salts contain tons of lead.
Right.
So if you look it up online, like some contain like, 20 parts per billion. But then you look at like some of the other brands and they're like 3,000 parts per billion lead. It's like, yeah, it's insane. I've been looking a lot into salt lately. So
That's crazy they can legally do that.
yeah,
'Cause isn't lead poisonous?
Yep. So
Yeah.
like, for example, like the salt from Costco has about 120. They have 2 different types of salt. One of them is 120 parts per billion, and one of them is like 200.
Right. Okay.
And so yeah, they're kind of like, I won't say in the middle, because like actually yeah, about in the middle, because those 3,000 parts per billion ones are kind of like the extremes, but like most salts sit around where Costco's sit at, but you can get
That's
way
interesting.
better ones. Yeah,
So did you see Tucker's video yesterday?
that was awesome.
I think I showed you. Yeah.
I'm
It was a 2-minute video.
I'm actually happy he left, or that him and Fox aren't together anymore.
Yeah, they
like
divorced.
that he's not with them. I think he can really be himself now, and he can be like the parts of Tucker that I like are going to come out more now, I think,
Yes and no. So he's not fully able to speak his mind because there is like a lawsuit still looming. And I'm sure that there's some sort of non-disclosure clause that they've put on him.
That would have more to do with like voting fraud and stuff like that. Maybe he can't speak on that stuff, but
Also, he can't speak on the reason that they fired him.
yeah, okay, fair enough.
What I'm
That'll
talking
come out.
about.
in
The
time,
rest
yeah.
of it's like, yeah. But the reason that they fired him, if he were to come out and say that, they could probably sue him. So
Fair enough.
he's coming out and he's putting it into like really vague words.
Yeah, that was.
But it was really telling that like the biggest point of it is he was only up for about 3 hours before he hit 20 million views.
Wow.
Yeah, in 3 hours. So a typical show for him on Fox is 3 million
Was
views.
that live?
No, it was just a
Just
tweet.
he added it, or
Yeah, it
like
was-
posted that
It
video.
was just
yeah.
a tweet that he posted, right?
Fair enough. Yeah, that's crazy.
But obviously the entire world's trying to hear what his point of view is and what his side of the story is. So everyone's kind of looking in.
Yeah.
The point that I wanted to make is that we saw this a year or two ago with Joe Rogan. They tried to cancel him over that video of saying the N-word over and over again. That fell right on its face. Nothing came of it. And now the second most powerful person that could sway a political election is Tucker Carlson. They didn't like that. He came out trying to talk about religion, trying to talk about the military-industrial complex, and he was promptly fired for, the next day after that.
Yeah.
So I don't know what exactly his plan of action is going to be, but whatever it is, he's going to do better than he did on Fox, and he's going to bury Fox, I believe. I don't think anyone really cares about it anymore.
Yeah, no, that's just it. Is I never really cared about Fox anyways. I don't like anybody else on Fox. Tucker was the only one I like to listen to, and it started with he's just so crazy. He'd say anything. He's like insulting people. It was like so immature and like at first I was like, what the fuck? And then it was like, oh, this is kind of funny. And then you catch a couple clips where he's actually speaking like hard facts, real truth about issues that other media organizations won't cover.
Yeah.
So it was, then I started to like him for that. And so that's what I think we're going to get more of now, which is essentially why he got fired too, right? Like,
I hope
speaking
so.
out. But you had a theory that you mentioned yesterday that we never really got into
for
why he got fired.
Why Tucker got fired.
And before we get there, hey, if you're watching, can you comment or like the video?
Like, comment.
This chat's pretty dead. I'd love to see a hello from one of you guys.
Yeah.
Otherwise, hey, we're going to start pre-recording these fucking things.
Yeah, I think the bigger thing is just keep saying, hey, please like and subscribe. If you enjoy the crowded room, we enjoy doing it. We'd like a subscription off of you.
Yep.
I think that's all that you can really do.
Costs $0 on your end.
Right,
It's
but we
clickety-click.
could say it more often. We don't really say it that much.
No, we don't really promote ourselves that much. But
It's kind of makes you feel sleazy promoting yourself. Everybody does it, and you don't think that those guys are sleazy because they're successful. Mm-hmm. But when you're just like another bro or something,
you're promoting yourself only to like your friends.
It feels a little sleazy.
Yeah,
I think it's probably one of the greasiest things you could do is self-promotion, but you got to believe in yourself.
I think that censorship bill is hitting hard tonight.
Maybe.
I think we're getting shadow banned.
Yeah. I don't, but I don't know. I just think people have something to do on a Thursday, and
I guess
it's asking a lot to keep going live every week and say, hey, stop what you're doing and come watch us at 7.
Yeah.
Whereas the world's getting very busy and people kind of consume stuff whenever they feel like it, right?
Yeah. Well, your girlfriend's watching, so
thank you, Cassandra.
thanks, Cass.
That's what I like.
So what do we got next here?
Well, we're actually still in the Tucker thing.
Oh
here.
yeah, that's right. Sorry,
Yeah. So I don't know if you know this. BlackRock owns 59 million shares of Dominion Voting.
What percentage is that?
You'd have to look that up. I'm sure it's not a significant one, but they own part of that company, so they have investments into there. Yeah. So Dominion Voting is the one that sued Tucker Carlson the week before he was fired.
Well, they sued Fox, right?
They sued Fox because of what Tucker said.
Yeah.
That's the whole story there.
I don't think Tucker was acting like independently when he said that stuff. He has writers. Those writers worked for Fox.
Yeah, and they got to vet everything, right?
Yeah, so like they thought that was okay. He reads off a fucking teleprompter. Like there's no way that nobody proofreads that. Like they all thought it was okay.
So I don't really know the whole how that works or anything, but I'm pretty sure that the writers are going to work for Tucker, and Tucker works for Fox. He sells his show to Fox.
Really?
I'm pretty sure that's how it works. Yeah. But
interesting.
Either way, everyone's fired. Tucker left with his top writer, so that's gonna allude to a show coming up with the two of them. I hope so. I think
I would imagine
Tucker and Don Lemon could go and make a podcast right now that would rival Joe Rogan's, especially with the election cycle coming up.
Pretty big. I don't think Don Lemon would do it though. I don't know if Tucker would do it.
Right.
Either.
Well, anyways, so BlackRock owns 59 million shares of Dominion as well as 45 million shares of Fox. So they basically just sued themselves. Now, you could say that they kind of had to get over this negative press, or you could sit there and think, well, if I own two companies and they wanted to sue each other, I think I could mediate that pretty easily, right? And they don't own it, but they own enough to be influential around this whole thing.
BlackRock is in charge of everything they own a share.
Almost everything that you can think of, yeah. So I really think they're shooting themselves in the foot. Tucker's going to shine from this, and he's taking the high road. In that whole 2-minute video, he could have sat there and been like snarky or...
Like Don Lemon.
Yeah, right. Just bitter. He could have been bitter, but he took the high road. He went on his own direction, didn't mention Fox once, and Fox has come out to slander him really hard in the last week.
Oh, really? I didn't see
Yeah, so they had this lady come on that was apparently worked under him, and she's like, yeah, he was horrible. He was always a dick to me. He said he was above Fox. He said he could sway elections and stuff. And if those things are true, then yeah, you kind of have to shut up and take it. Mm-hmm. But basically just trying to rake him through the coals on CNN this last week here. And it really it really looked bad for Fox more than anything. Yeah.
Yeah, I believe it. I mean, they already do a good job of making themselves look bad.
Well, honestly, Tucker was number 4 in all of cable TV, not cable news.
Yeah.
Like anything you'd ever want to watch on cable TV. So that's with an election cycle coming up, you literally shot yourself in the foot. Anyways, Don Lemon fired after making comments against the narrative. Another one. So Don Lemon's one that you might think is secretly conservative.
Oh, okay.
Because he comes out with some pretty strong opinions. He's worked at CNN for 17 years.
I saw that, yeah.
And they didn't even like formally fire him. They told his agent, and then he went on to Twitter and blasted back.
Yeah, he was definitely upset about that. He finished it with thanking the people that he liked there, but he was definitely a little more upset than Tucker was. Tucker, he just took it with a grain of salt and he's like, whatever, I'll do my own. He doesn't need Fox.
No.
He needed Fox to get to where he is now, but now he doesn't need Fox, and neither does Don Lemon. Anyone with a name can just start their own fucking podcast and they're fine.
Yeah, well, Don Lemon was on CNN, but the same thing.
Oh, yeah, I know. Sorry.
So if you remember a couple weeks ago, Don Lemon was in the news. He was getting berated because he's a gay guy, and he was talking about the women in their prime. And he's like, so if you Google it, it says women past 30 or 40 are completely out of their prime. And he has 2 female co-hosts there that are arguing back with him. And he's just like, he never takes shit no matter what. But he stood his ground, and he's like, this isn't my opinion. This is society's opinion and all that. So he was kind of turned his people's nose up at him last week already. So the company was ready to get rid of him.
I never really watched his stuff. I just knew he was like a big figure at CNN. Probably the biggest. Yeah.
He's one of the bigger names. Anderson Cooper's probably the biggest name.
I couldn't remember his name.
Yeah. But he was probably the second biggest name.
Yeah.
And it speaks largely to the loss of influence the government is having on the mainstream media. And that's probably the biggest reason they want to get rid of both of them. They can see the writing on the wall. The government is not as influential as Tucker Carlson.
That's true.
Because he has enough money to tell the government that he won't say what they want him to say. And the result is you get fired from your job.
And the government's like, this is dangerous. So like in Australia, they just take your bank account away.
Exactly.
So how long till that imagine if Tucker keeps speaking out. How long till they do that to him, right?
Imagine if Tucker keeps speaking out. Yeah. The better thought is imagine if he goes and starts his own podcast.
That's what I mean.
There goes mainstream
That's
media
where he
altogether.
will be speaking out, yeah.
Yeah. I really think that move alone will mark the beginning of the end for all corporate mainstream media, because there are independent media sources.
Yeah.
Right?
I don't think a lot of people take most of these media sources seriously, and the ones
because
that do,
they're backed by corporations.
Yeah, and the ones that do, whether you take CNN seriously or Fox, like there's something wrong with you if you put all your trust into them like that.
Yeah.
Like some people think that it's just Fox and CNN's like all respectable. They lie all the fucking time.
And a lot of people think the opposite too, right?
Yeah, which is crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, Fox, they do a great job of like being immature all the time and like unprofessional.
Snarky.
So like I could see why people would see that. And Tucker Carlson did that on his own show, which is why for some reason I only found him entertaining. He's the only one I liked. Everyone else on that show, whenever I watch that stuff, like whenever it comes up, I can't sit through it. Like I hate listening to them talk. But then CNN's the same thing. Like every time I read an article from CNN, it's so biased. So biased.
I remember being like in my young 20s just thinking, I should start reading news to inform myself. And I went to CNN first, not knowing that there was a bias one way or the other. And it just really turned me off of news, because you could see like you aren't boasting anything good. You're just shitting on stuff bad. Mm-hmm. Right. And that's you can go one way or the other. You can choose to be positive or negative, but you get more clicks when you're negative.
Absolutely.
Right. And now that's another reason that this media is doomed to fail.
That's what drives it, is the negativity and people getting pissed off, creating a divide, making people argue. That's what sells, unfortunately. And
that's what sells. And the shitty thing is with this bill C11 now, our internet is going to turn into cable news.
Mm-hmm.
Basically,
Yeah,
there's no difference.
That's exactly it. You know, I like the idea of cable channels being on the internet and you choosing to stream whatever you want or just your favorite show. Like, who cares about a whole network? But now, with what they're doing, they're going to make it so you can only find the content they want. And that's just, I hate that. I hate the idea of that so much. We used to think, oh, it sucks for the people in China. They have their own internet. They don't get to see this and this and this. And it's like, wait, now we have that. Awesome. Yeah. Well, like, nobody asked for that. Not a single fucking person asked for that. And
right in the middle of this whole, is Trudeau scamming the shits? What was that one thing? I actually is Trudeau a Chinese operative or asset?
Yeah. Well,
right while we're debating that, they censored the debates last week, and now they censor the entire internet, so there's no such thing as talking about it anymore.
Exactly. And next year, is it when we have our election finally?
I fucking hope so.
Yeah, but imagine how they'll be able to censor any opposing party.
Yeah, well, I'm pretty sure a lot of parties are going to be afraid to run against someone like that.
Well, not the Conservatives, obviously. They'll keep going.
They'll keep going, but I mean, as soon as the party in power puts out a smear campaign against the Conservatives, are they really going to be able to turn around and put
defend
one
themselves
back at them? Well, I don't think they'll allow that.
What they might be able to do is expose the Canadian government for doing all this, like the censorship they claim that they wouldn't do. They gave themselves the power to censor anything they want. They can decide what goes in front of us, and more importantly, what shouldn't go in front of us. So they gave themselves that power under the guise of, we just want to put more Canadian content in front of you. Yeah. So like that, they promised it wouldn't be anything more than that. But we already know that that's bullshit. Like, why would anybody fall for that?
I wonder what happens when you go to Infowars.com.
Try it out.
Is it going to pop up?
Can you still go to it?
Yeah. Oh, wow, it works. Let's try that again tomorrow and see if it still works.
Right. Next week it won't.
I don't know.
Speaking of Infowars, I'd like to talk about this a little bit. Alex Jones, a clip of him came up, and he was talking about this clip that resurfaced of Ted Gunderson. And Ted Gunderson is like FBI special agent in charge, the head of the LA FBI department. And he's like an author. You ever heard of that book, How to Locate Anyone, Anywhere Without Leaving Home?
No.
Yeah, he wrote that book. It's been popular for a long time. And now he's a conspiracy theorist because that's what they label him as.
So this video is from 1996 or what?
Yeah. Not this clip of Alex Jones, obviously, but the clip that he's going to play. Yeah.
Okay, let's play this clip here, Andrew.
Hey, Andrew, you want to put it on the TV for a second? Oh, wait, I got to change
You got to change it over. Go ahead and play this clip for us, Andrew, while we do this.
Man, that guy, I'd hear him say this stuff 25, 30 years ago. I thought he was nuts, except I kept researching it and finding it was true. A little short clip, resurfaced on Twitter, where he lays out every damn thing that was going to go down. So, former FBI agent, head of the Los Angeles sector, Ted Gunderson, says the Bilderberg, this is in 1996, and New World Order Illuminati is behind all of the heinous crimes against humanity. Here's the clip.
I personally investigated the Oklahoma City bombing case. Huge cover-up. Jack Kennedy's assassination, huge cover-up. Bobby Kennedy's assassination, huge cover-up. World Trade Center, huge cover-up. Okay, terrorism. They're using it as an excuse to take away our constitutional rights and our civil liberties. The Illuminati, Bilderberg, New World Order, globalists are the element behind this. It dovetails into the satanic movement, and this movement has infiltrated into our intelligence community, the once great FBI and the CIA.
Then 3 years ago, they released the Finder's Case emails. The FBI released thousands of pages, and everything he told me about that was true. Ted Gunderson, man. That guy.
Interesting,
yeah. He was actually, he's a part of the FBI, but he was actually in charge of investigating the Kennedy assassination and all those things that he mentioned that were all cover-ups. He was in charge of investigating all those things.
Okay.
So that's how he knows that. And so they did an internal investigation and he found these things out. So it's just crazy. And that now he's a kook. Now he's a conspiracist, right? Or a conspiracy theorist, right? So,
is he still alive? Like, that was 1996. He looked old.
I think he is still alive, but I could be wrong.
Right.
I'm not sure.
96. That's almost 30 years away.
Yep. Speaking of 30 years, here's another little conspiracy for you that I read up about today. The Coil campaign in Greenland.
Coil campaign.
Coil campaign, okay.
What's this?
In Greenland, the Danish government in the 1960s did this thing called the Coil campaign, and they got doctors to place IUD, like birth control devices, in all the Aboriginal women that they were doing medical procedures on, whether it was an abortion or a surgery or whatever. And like all the native people of the native Inuit people of Greenland, they did that too. So like over 30 years, from sometime in the 1960s to 1991, they kept doing this, and like
just try to depopulate them.
Yeah, and without telling them, just putting these things in them. And so some of them are trying forever to get pregnant. Some of them are in pain for like their whole lives. They don't know why.
Up to the 1960s, you said?
This started in the 1960s.
Till the 90s.
Till 1991 is when like it got declassified, I guess, and they ended it, and people found out. But for 30 years, they did this without telling anyone. Like it's the definition of a conspiracy, and people still think it's going on today because people are still finding them in themselves. Like it's crazy. Like, so like talk about population control.
Yeah. Well, they openly tried to kill natives in Canada till like there was residential schools till like the 80s, I think.
90s. The last one closed down in like 96, I think.
And that was in like civilization, not up in the
We were
Arctic.
born before the last residential school got closed.
Yeah, we could still meet people. Like my friend's grandma was in a residential school as a young lady, and now she's passed on. Rest in peace to my friend's grandma there. But she was very religious, like super Christian, and that obviously came from those residential schools. Yeah,
I was just talking to a girl 2 weeks ago, and asking about her family and her heritage, and she's like, yeah, we don't know anything past my grandma.
Yeah,
because that's when she got scooped up, put into a residential school, and it's crazy.
Yeah, and people try to play it off like, oh, that couldn't happen today.
Yeah. And I don't want to brush it off or take it lightly by saying, like, you know, we all kind of know about that in this country. But, you know, like in Greenland, like the thing I just told you about Greenland, like I had never heard of that before till today. Yeah. Like I just found out about that. That's crazy to me. Like for 30 years, they just secretly did this, you know. But, you know, it ended around the same time as the last residential school closed. So, I mean, it kind of makes sense. It was like the same period of time.
Okay. Yeah, that's an interesting conspiracy theory. I like how we just sprinkle these ones in around rather than making a whole episode.
Well, you know, we were on the PG Real News podcast
last
weekend.
We did that last week.
And so they labeled us the tinfoil hat boys. So who knows? Maybe that'll stick. I don't like it. But
I don't like that at all.
But we've always been known for dabbling in conspiracy theories. You know, we have our past conspiracy theory episodes, which we will re-upload on this channel.
Right. So maybe that'd be worth
classics.
doing another one. We'll see.
We have been known to don the tinfoil hats from time to time. But, you know, everyone loves a good conspiracy. And in this case, it's actually true. So it's like, it's not even it's people think conspiracy theories have yet to be proven, but this one is true and proven. So
interesting.
The conspiracy now would be if they're still doing it since 1991.
Yeah. And not telling everyone and kind of gaslighting that, no, we couldn't be doing this.
Cassandra says, how in the world do they shove an IUD in people's uteruses without them knowing? Well, they're usually unconscious. They're doing like medical procedures, Cassandra. So who knows what kind of we're talking about the 1960s too. Like, who knows? They probably like punch them in the jaw and knock them out before they do a surgery. That was anesthetic. So, anyways.
Yeah. Have you heard of Fauci in the news this week?
A little bit. Sounds like similar to the Trudeau thing, just being a hypocrite, saying he didn't say what he said.
Kind of. He went on CNN yesterday and he addressed the pandemic and how it went and everything, and he acknowledged that the masks were only 10 to 13% effective, but he blamed it on people that weren't wearing masks properly, and he really side-skirted all responsibility. All you'd have to do is say, yeah, we fucked up. You were the face of this. You literally said to question Fauci is to question science, and he said that as a third person.
Yep.
You can't turn around and say, oh, I didn't pressure anybody for this. Like Trudeau's trying to say he didn't pressure anybody to take the vaccine. And you did.
You did.
Okay. Yeah. You Jared can speak to this personally. His mother was in the hospital and they weren't going to let him go see her. That's incentivizing people.
My mom's funeral.
They weren't going to let you go to her funeral.
The church almost didn't let me come in.
Yeah.
And I won't say what church because they could probably get in trouble for that.
You had to pull a sneaky one.
But they did let me eventually. Yeah. You know, they had a heart, fortunately. But if it was at the hospital, like if I had to go see my mom at the hospital while she was passing away, that would have been a bad time.
They probably wouldn't have let you do that.
No, they wouldn't.
Yeah.
No, they wouldn't have made any exceptions. They would have told me to go fuck myself.
Yeah. So to sit there and say that you didn't force it on anyone, like, go fuck yourself. No, yes, you did. And Fauci's just as bad. He literally told people that you're killing grandma if you're not getting this shot.
Yep. Absolutely.
And the whole world had to go on hold just for his word.
Yep.
And so now who's responsible to apologize for all this? No one. No one. You guys fucked up because you didn't wear the masks like I told you to do that were only 10% effective.
It was nothing but fear mongering. And, before that one Christmas or before the flu season when they're like, oh, yeah, if you're unvaccinated, all you have to look forward to is death and fucking blah, blah, that.
Death and blah, blah, blah.
The United States government put that out.
Oh, yeah.
That was like their Christmas.
Look forward to a winter of death and suffering is what they said. Yeah.
Thanks.
That was what Biden said, though.
Yeah.
Not Fauci.
I thought it was written, though. I thought it was like from the United States government. I thought it was like a written thing. I didn't know if Biden said it.
I think it was a speech that Biden said. Anyways, so some emails are coming out that link Fauci directly to covering up all this.
Yeah.
And those were like in February 2020.
Yeah.
Where they would have conference emails, they would get burner phones and make these calls that now we have records of.
Well, that guy he talked a little bit about it. The guy, was it The Wire or The High Wire? The guy that's talking to Neil deGrasse Tyson?
Oh, Del Bigtree.
Yeah, okay.
The High Wire, yeah.
Yeah. So he actually kind of brought that up. He showed the email where they were like specifically targeting like these anti-vaxxers, these doctors that were speaking out against it.
Yeah.
And meanwhile, well, we went over the clip on the other episode, so I won't get into it. But obviously, Neil was like saying, "Oh, we need to bring every argument to the table." Oh no, don't. But
not that one.
Not that one.
Yeah.
It's like,
no matter what, Neil's shown his cards. He toes the corporate line, and he gets upset when people push back on it. Now, saying that, he did go on the show. He didn't have to do that.
Yeah, but I feel like a higher entity was like, you go on this show and do a good job. You know what I mean?
He probably thought that no one was going to push back on him because he's an authority in science, and this Dell guy isn't a scientist. So.
I think he gets used just like Bill Nye was getting used for a little while there, back in 2016, 17.
Yeah,
when Bill Nye went against everything he had said in the past and put that video out of nowhere for no reason, talking about gender being a spectrum and no longer binary. Mm-hmm. It's like, oh, what about this clip from 10 years ago when you're talking about it being binary?
Yeah. Yeah. And people studying the virus are finding it inconsistent with evolutionary patterns, meaning that it's genetically manipulated.
Yeah.
Is what
and they've been saying that since the beginning. They've been saying that this type of virus doesn't just form naturally.
Yeah. Well, if it did, it would have trademarks of evolution over a
it's
period
skipped all
of
those
years.
things.
Yeah.
Exactly. And so some of the world's best virologists virologists have said that.
Mm-hmm.
And
people have came out and admitted openly that they were funding gain-of-function research for bats in Wuhan, like coronaviruses in bats in Wuhan. Now, it's very odd that half of the people in the world will tell you, no, that happened from a bat soup in a wet market.
Yeah. I mean,
so people
have been
eating
bat soup for a while then.
Yeah.
Why would it just randomly happen now? I don't know.
Right. Anyways, Fauci completely took a giant shit on the entire world economy, and now he won't even say sorry. He has no humility. He thinks that he should still wear his crown and lead us towards the next pandemic.
And Trudeau will do the same thing. They live by their decisions, and they just act like they didn't happen if they were the wrong decisions.
It's because they came up in a world where their predecessors were never questioned. They were the authority, right? And they were never questioned. So now all of a sudden they're being questioned. They're like, I did all this work. I got where I am today. You don't get to question me, right? Like, especially Trudeau seeing his dad be prime minister, and basically he was raised as royalty.
Yeah, just entitled.
With a silver spoon in his mouth his entire life. And now if someone were to question him, who do you think you are? I'm Justin Trudeau.
Exactly.
Do you know who my dad was? And like, I can't imagine growing up with a guy like that.
Oh my God.
Like when you're
that guy out.
An immature teen or something.
Would have been like, hey, come train at K10 with us.
Well, no, there's video of Trudeau as a 18-year-old. No, not a boxer. As an 18-year-old, like passionately talking about politics and stuff, and it just sounds like such a snot nose. Yeah. Quebec quiet.
With his long hair too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was a harsh week in the news for us, right? Mm-hmm. So Fauci literally takes a shit on everything. No one's even mentioning that he did the same exact thing in the 90s for the AIDS epidemic. We're too young to really remember that?
No, I found out about this. I think we actually covered it on one of our first few episodes, actually.
So people were afraid to shake hands with a person with AIDS. Mm-hmm. So like if this was the 90s and somebody just came in this studio with us with AIDS, everyone would be like uncomfortable, time to go, because Fauci had everyone thinking that you could catch it from shaking hands. Just like he had people thinking that you can get COVID from licking doorknobs.
Well, it was worse than that too. He completely endorsed an AIDS an AIDS therapy drug that killed lots of people and like fucked up a lot of people. Like it's the exact same thing as what's happening.
Fucked up a lot of people, marginalized an entire group of people that were already sick, and not only that, he made it so it was very hard for men to get laid in the 90s. Like I wasn't around doing it, but apparently it was like it was almost like asking people to come give you a hug in COVID times. Like it was very hard to get around back then, I guess.
And so unlike the time we live in now, back then when medications killed people, they took them off the shelves.
Yeah.
So that AIDS medication, it didn't have to kill very many people before they stopped selling that stuff, right? And it's just crazy how like vaccines still getting pumped out.
So there is a light at the end of the tunnel for all this, just to put our ribbon on this. There's one presidential candidate out there that will openly speak about this, and he just so happens to be a Democrat. Because of all those things I just said, you don't really hear about him very much. His father was a president as well.
Who's this?
RFK Kennedy Jr.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, I didn't realize he was a Democrat.
He's got a damaged vocal box, so he doesn't speak too much. But he's had surgery on it, and he's much better than he was a couple years ago.
Still kind of hard to listen to, but he's speaking out against all this shit.
Yeah. And he's the only one that's willing to do it. He's a traditional Democrat that actually cares for people, the poor, the working class. He's got so much money he doesn't need, just like Trump. Like, he doesn't need your corporate money.
Yeah.
Right. I really think that is a giant light at the end of the tunnel, especially when we're being proposed.
At least in that country.
In that country. For us,
it's still pretty bleak in this country.
Like I said before, Putin was on, I don't know if it was this week, but Putin was on camera saying that he sat through 5 presidents and he's met with 3. And as soon as
the men with the black suits, that was a while ago.
As soon as the men with the black suits come in, the smiles go down and the president turns into just another puppet.
That was what he said when Trump first got elected.
Yeah.
And so it's a little bit old, but I've watched that video several times recently. It's resurfaced.
I don't think it's exclusive to America.
No, absolutely not. It's the whole UN.
I'm pretty sure, and not even recently. It's not like it's been infiltrated recently. You saw after World War II, a bunch of prominent Nazis didn't get killed. They got put into prominent positions in NASA and NATO.
Well, that's a whole nother thing. They had some of the best engineers and scientists in the world over there, and the American government brought them all over, as many as they could. And, you know, if there's ever a war in Taiwan, that's exactly what China or what America is going to do. They're gonna bomb all the computer chip companies in Taiwan and
try
take
to
all
extract
their
the valuable people.
the people and keep them safe, because there's only so many mines like that in the world.
Yep.
But so when it came to the Germans, one of those German scientists is on record saying, he's like, we had help. He's saying aliens helped them.
Oh, wow.
That's all. I need a tinfoil hat for that one.
Yeah,
but that's his words, not mine, right? That's a German scientist saying that. And who knows? He was the enemy
Germany
at one
had
point.
better technology than anyone in the world at that point.
Exactly.
Right, until the nuclear bomb was made.
Yep.
And how did they get there? No one really knows. I guess they were just smarter, but it could
Aliens.
be aliens, dude.
Yeah.
That's why we need the creepy music to play.
I heard
Nope. That's it. Yeah.
Still getting used to the colors here. I heard a conspiracy that I'm sure a lot of people have heard this before, but that, you know, the government has like better technology than what we realize the world has. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And one of them is that since the 1960s, when they reverse engineered one of the UFOs, they found out how to manipulate gravity. And so, like, apparently, like, they've been so far ahead for the longest time.
Yeah.
That's those are all that information comes from people who were in the military who claim to have seen these things, right? It's crazy how many, you know, if we were to have a list of all of them, I bet you there's probably like 1,000 people that have been in the military that have crazy things to say about aliens that are like whistleblowers in a sense, but they don't get treated as like, they don't have actual documents. They just have like accounts. They're like, oh yeah, I went to this base and there was like gray aliens walking around and these aliens. And
yeah,
what's crazy is when more than one of them have a similar story. And, you know,
the scarier part for them is even if they're on their deathbed, people could still fuck with your kids and your family and stuff. So a lot of them don't want to come out and say anything, right?
Yeah. Shay just showed up. Hey, Shay, 8 minutes left.
Hello, Shay. Thank you so much.
You know, this is a good time to get this in real quick. I wanted to bring this up. The Sears 2025 video that Bill Gates put out. I'm a little late on this one.
Yeah.
This actually came out in December last year. Andrew, do you got this video for me? Andrew? Is it that one? No. That one. Yeah, check this out.
Okay.
Bill Gates put together, along with the team, complete with simulated news reports like this. This is really what they're preparing for us. This video is called Get Ready. Watch.
Bill Gates put this out in December last year.
Catastrophic contagion, a global challenge.
Officials in 2 Latin American countries alerted the WHO of several outbreaks of a new infectious disease that's mysteriously appearing across the region. Severe epidemic enterovirus respiratory syndrome 2025.
Already named
that's the name, guys. Just write this down. That'll be the name of it, okay? It's
Sears.
It's going to be called the Severe Epidemic Enterovirus Respiratory Syndrome, and 2025 is when we'll see it.
Write it on your calendar.
Now, it says at the bottom this is a fictional scenario, but come on. Yeah. This is the video that Bill Gates...
Why are they keeping on naming these after companies? it's like they're playing poker at like a CEO board meeting. Sears guy lost. They're like, oh, you get the next pandemic.
Right.
Corona's laughing at him drunk as shit.
Hell yeah. But well, and like COVID-19, that got named, the 19's from the year that it got discovered, right?
Yeah, well, I guess so. I don't fucking know.
I think so.
Yeah, I'm sure it's not just it's not the 19th version of it.
So this will be Sears 25.
Right.
Something like that, right? And so they've already predicted it. That's what's happening. And they've already told us a cyber attack is coming. So I think that's next year.
Yeah.
So if you had that on your bingo checklist, check that off.
Let us know when you win.
Yeah. And yeah, so I'm not looking forward to that. I hate that they they talk about it like it's happening for sure.
They'll constantly shove it down your throat, yeah. So we have that one story where the 18-year-old boy died for gender reassignment surgery.
That's really unfortunate.
That's such a weird story. Apparently this was 2016, but it's just surfacing now.
Oh, okay.
The teen was a male transitioning to a woman and had been on hormone therapy for so long that his dick didn't really grow big enough to do the inversion technique, the old pokeroo.
Put it inside out?
Yeah.
Would have been a shallow vag.
Yeah, well, it just wasn't going to work. So basically they had to remove part of his colon to try to make a vagina, and he died in surgery.
We need to remove some of your colon to make room for your boyfriend's dick.
Oh my God, dude. It's so weird. Like if you look.
What the hell?
Women
it's really unfortunate he died. Let me just say that. I'm not laughing
at him. It's very
at
unfortunate
him
that he died. If you look at women that are transitioning to men, they take the muscles off of their forearm and they use that to.
Oh, that's
to make
why.
That's why you see those like just skin and bone arms.
Mm-hmm.
That's what's going on there.
Jesus.
Yeah. I know it's a
Andrew's
new
like,
age.
holy crap. He's like, I could have the biggest dick.
You telling me that I could have done this the whole fucking time?
Can I add this to what I already got? Yeah. Yeah, that's something else, man. That's something I'll never understand.
No.
You know? We got a couple quick little things. We got the last 4 minutes here. A Russian diplomat was trolling, I don't know who exactly, I guess the world, anyone that has a problem with the war in Ukraine.
Yeah.
And he was saying, hey, if you have a big problem with this, just pretend that Ukraine is Africa or the Middle East and pretend Russia's the United States and like go back to not caring. Like, and to me, I think that's pretty true. Like no one gives a shit when the United States and Canada follows them. Canada goes in too.
No one cares about anything after a good week or two. And once the news cycle moves on, there's really I can't think of last year's news articles that are still like.
Dude, the whole Russia thing lasted tops like maybe like 2 months last year. Like people just like forgot. I've
already forgot. Explain it to me. What are you talking about?
Sorry.
With the whole Russia thing.
Sorry, Russia invading Ukraine. Sorry.
Oh, there we go.
My bad.
Sorry, I was thinking
I should have said the whole
Russia.
Ukrainian war. Yeah, my bad.
Yeah, see, I already forgot that. Hey,
yeah, exactly.
Who's Ukraine?
Yeah. What was happening with Russia last year?
Yeah.
But yeah, just ridiculous.
Ridiculous, but at least they got our millions of dollars.
Yep, billions.
But if you want to work for us in Canada, you need to take a pay cut.
Yeah, and you are not allowed to have AR-15s. However, we are shipping AR-15s to Ukrainian citizens so they can defend themselves.
Yeah, that's right. We're going to take these guns and send them to Ukraine.
Yeah, I think the funniest thing was, because in the Constitution, it's like you have the right to bear arms to defend yourself from a tyrannical government. And the whole argument was, oh, you think you're going to defend yourself against tanks with an AR-15? It's like, why the fuck are you sending them to Ukraine? They must be useful.
Yeah, the U.S. government came out this week suggesting that America should move to electric tanks. Did you see that?
Oh, let's make electric guns, dude.
Electric tanks. So hopefully Russia... You're okay with that? It's fine. As long as Russia implements a charging station every 100 miles, all the way back to the fight at the battle zone.
There would be like a transport machine that just carries batteries or something.
Right.
But they find the electric is so dumb though, because the idea of like you have to set everything up. When you invade a place, you have to bring your own shit there. You can't just like run cables through the ground as you go and like, oh, here's our new charging station. Like, no, that's not how it would work.
Yeah, they'll have a giant solar panel on the top of the tank.
There you go. That's how they would do it. Yeah, Carl would be getting out, wiping the fucking mud off. Get out there, Carl.
Hey, don't shoot our tank, please. We need that solar panel.
Oh my God. Really stupid.
Really stupid.
So a couple little things. I got one for last here. That one's good. But first, the Spanish climber. There's a Spanish climber, this female. I should have got her name. I didn't get it. She spent 500 days in a cave.
Oh, okay.
She just came out, and it was like underground, kind of. Like it was like a big crevice underground. It was like really deep. I think it was like 250 feet or something into the ground. But she stayed down there, and there was like an area where like people would meet, or not meet with her, but they would like leave her stuff, supplies and whatnot, and then they'd leave, and then she would come get that stuff and then go back. So that's how she survived down there. She was going for the world record. The world record is like 460 days, I think, or something like that.
Yeah.
Like somewhere close to that.
It says 210 by 1987 Italian Maurizio Montella.
That was the first guy. But if you look at the next one, the Serb who spent more than 460 days underground.
You can talk into your microphone. There you go.
Your mic's on. But yeah, you'll see that on the screen. The Italian spent 210 days, but then a Serb did 460. So this Spanish lady just did 500. But the problem is they're not giving her the world record right now because at around the 300-day point, she had to leave the cave due to technical difficulties. And she camped somewhere with no human contact for 8 days and then went back into the cave when she was able to. So I think I don't think they're going to count it.
Huh.
And the last thing, because it's 8 o'clock.
Wait, save that. We forgot one. The Elon Musk story that we alluded to at the beginning.
Yeah.
So this pedophile group likes to rename themselves as Youth Attracted Persons, YAP for short.
Yep.
I don't know if you've heard of this.
Oh, I've heard of it.
See, this was news to me. I think I'd heard of some other acronym for them or something, but YAP is what they're going by now, and they tried to introduce their new flag in Twitter. This was just yesterday, I think. And instantly, Elon Musk said, no dice. He suspended their entire account, questioned about it. He put out a large tweet saying like how he feels about the transgender thing, but he made it loud and clear that no, you do not get to support pedophiles on Twitter.
And that's the only type of censorship that I agree with. You're shutting down a movement that shouldn't be around, period. And what our government does is label normal groups like that. They're like, oh, this is a terrorist group. This is a hate speech group. This is a hate group. And now we need to stop them. Whereas in this case, it's like, no, this is pedophiles. We can all agree pedophiles are bad. Except pedophiles. Pedophiles won't say that. These, what are they called?
Youth Attracted Persons.
Youth Attracted Persons. You know who I like? I like GAG. GAG.
What's that?
Gays Against Groomers.
Gays Against Groomers.
Yeah, they're awesome.
You're a gagger?
I support the gaggers.
Okay, there we go.
I fuck with the gaggers.
Yeah, not much of a story there, but it's nice to see that someone's at least standing up for it. If he didn't buy that company, I think that we would be in a very bad place in society right now.
Absolutely. But speaking of pedos, I'll get to this last one quick because we are running a little late here.
Let's do our last one.
I'll hit you guys with this and we'll do the outro. SpongeBob.
Yeah.
There's an episode where he gets his driver's license and it says his address on the driver's license.
Bikini Bottom.
It is 124 Conch Street and Bikini Bottom. The corner of that. If you look that up on Google Maps, it takes you straight to Epstein Island.
Really?
Yeah. So how's that?
Well, maybe he just really liked SpongeBob, so he named his island that. Or maybe SpongeBob is leading a ring of fucking pedophiles. Yeah.
Maybe, yeah. We'll never know because we can't even get the flight log. So,
but maybe we'll figure it out this weekend.
Absolutely.
Guys, if you're listening, please stop what you're doing and subscribe to our channel. We would really appreciate it. We'll be back next week, same damn time, same damn place. We really appreciate your help.
Hell yeah. Have a good night, guys.
Unless you got anything else, we're saying goodbye.
That's it.
Switchblade to a single midnight. Think twice about the motherfucking quick knock. Switchblade suicide with the wrist slice. Closed eyes won't rise when the sun's bright. Switchblade serenading in the moonlight. Holler to the fucking sky cause the moon bright. You know they say when the stars in my eyes really go running high that we don't wanna lie when the union arrives. And the street lights shining, you know my time's arriving. Out when it's dark cause we midnight vibing. Midnight driving, cruising by flying. Living so fast, never think about dying. Pulls up in the dark and we hang out with the Batman. Scars on my knuckles cause we fucking with the wolf gang. Switchblade shining, night bright wildin'. Stars in my eyes when the moonlight shines in. Murder rap on my first track. Killing shit cause I've been begging. Suicide on the second, I don't care. Just accept it, knife swipe, make it doom. Switchblade coming soon. Chills on your spine when we holler to the fucking moon. Still shine bright, frostbite, make it ice one, shut down, slice with the right swirl. Blood on my fist, knife test, my wrist, moonshine on the blade, just cruising through the mist. Middle of midnight, think twice about the motherfucking quick knock. Switchblade to suicide with the wrist slice. Closed eyes won't rise when the sun's bright. Switchblades serenading in the moonlight. Holler to the fucking sky cause the moon bright. You know they say when the stars in my eyes better go running high. There'll be no one alive when the union arrives. And a little bit of midnight. Think twice about the motherfucking quick knob. Switchblade suicide with the wrist slice. Closed eyes won't rise when the sun's bright. Switchblade serenading in the moonlight. Holler to the fucking sky cause the moon bright. You know they say when the stars in my eyes better go running high. There'll be no one alive when the union arrives. And a little bit of midnight. Think twice about the motherfucking quick knob. Switchblade suicide with the wrist slice. Closed eyes won't rise when the sun's bright. Switchblade serenading in the moonlight. Holler to the fucking sky cause the moon bright. You know they say when the stars in my eyes better go running high. There'll be no one alive when the union arrives.
When you level up with Shaw's next generation Wi-Fi 6 technology,